Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday to you. Welcome to today's live level of conversation. Whether you're tuning in live or you're catching me on replay, it is such a treat to have you with me. Happy Tuesday. Let's dive right in.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Market update. Speed round. Award-winning financial pro. And now, get ready. I present to you Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hi, friends. I'm Winnie, your host, an award winning financial pro, a Forbes contributor, and a CNBC council member and contributor as well. We are streaming here on many different platforms. I'm really seeing a lot of friends come in. Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. It's great to be here live with you. And if you're joining me, wherever you're joining me from, come on, join and say hello. I see Chris Lace joining on Twitter. Say hello. Let me know how your week's been going because a lot of stuff going on today. Let me just say, currently, market's not looking so great. If you haven't been paying attention to it, maybe you don't want to check today. But here's what the Dow is doing currently. I guess I'm changing that for you, right? That's why you're here with me. The Dow's down 741 points. Nasdaq's down 371 points as well. S&P 500 is down 99. Yikes. Now, you might be wondering what's been happening and why the market has been doing so poorly today. In fact, it was doing better like an hour ago and a little bit better 2 hours ago, but it was still negative pretty much all day today. Now, this is sort of one of the things that we're really paying a lot of attention to, of course, is inflation data. And unfortunately, the inflation data is coming in not so great. So the unexpected rise in the consumer price index or CPI is indicating that inflation is, yeah, you got it, friends, still a problem. I mean, I'm thinking many of you who are joining me live right now aren't completely surprised because if you've been in a supermarket lately, you probably noticed that things aren't a lot cheaper. And if you've had to buy like a birthday gift or something of, things just aren't like cheap. They might not have grown as much, but they're certainly not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. So investors, analysts are really just closely monitoring the economic indicators and of course the Federal Reserve and what they're going to do in terms of this inflationary pressure. So yeah, the market's not doing well today. Let me just say that if you're a long-term investor and you're investing in things like your 401k and your IRA and whatnot, today might be one of those days where maybe you take an early lunch, or depending on where you are, maybe an early dinner with your loved ones and not worry about the stock market today because the news isn't great. And on that note, how do we turn something not so great into something more positive? Well, what you do is you decide to spend some time with your friends, your loved ones, somebody that makes you happy. And today, I have just the person for you to meet. It's my friend Julie Cole. She is the co-founder and senior director of Mable's Labels Inc. Now, let me just say that Julie is absolutely amazing. Who you're going to meet her. I mean, she's here right now. Julie, we're just talking about how amazing you are. Can we just say, like, it's great to have you on the show. And thank you so much for being here, even though the market doesn't seem to be cooperating. I think it's just like, the the market's waiting for you to speak. That's what I'm going to believe. What do you think, Julie?
I think you're 100% correct. And I am going to change the markets just with the snap of my fingers. How's that?
Well, if nothing else, you're bringing some sunshine to the show. So it's great to have you, Julie. For those of you who are brand new, haven't met Julie before, let me just say this woman really has a cape on the back of her back because she is the mom of six. She's a recovered lawyer. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Co-founder of Mable's Labels. She is an award-winning entrepreneur, a best-selling author. She is a speaker, MC. She's a who's who. She's all over the media. She's been on NBC's The Today Show. Her articles have appeared in the Huffington Post, Today's Parent, Working Mother Magazine, and so many other places. And we are just so delighted to have her here on Level Up Live. So welcome everybody to the show. I see a lot of people joining us. Give Julie a warm welcome as well. Such a fun day to have you here, Julie. So let's just say when she's not juggling her busy family and professional life, she's an engaged community member, serves on boards, she does volunteering. let's just say she's a pretty amazing woman, all around woman. And we got to talk about your journey to entrepreneurship though, Julie. Let's start there, okay? So
Sure.
what inspired you to transition? I mean, a lot of parents want their kids go to law school, become a lawyer, make that fancy paycheck, drive up, and take care of their parents when they're elderly. But you went to law and then you left. How did that happen?
Right. Well, I think with a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of business owners, you have to understand your why. You do not drop out of a legal profession or any other profession you trained really hard for no good reason, right? So for me, there were actually two whys. And the first was that I was raising small children and we were losing things and there was a gap in the marketplace. I thought, look, we need to personalize our kids' belongings. We want dishwasher, microwave safe labels, and there wasn't something there. So I sat down with my co-founders and we had talked about how masking tape and permanent marker weren't working, and all of our bottles and sippy cups weren't coming back from daycare or play group. So that was the first why. And it was, as I said, just a product missing from the market. And when people say to me, how do you come up with a good idea? I always say, just go through the day, find something that's annoying you and fix it because it's probably annoying a bunch of other people as well. So that was the first why. And Winnie, to your point, I became a mother, and so that became my second why. And at the time, my eldest child had just turned 3, and he received an autism diagnosis. And at that point, I just didn't think the traditional workforce was going to suit my lifestyle anymore. I wanted to be able to provide him with advocacy. I wanted to set up a very good education program, therapy program. I needed to be able to do all the things needed to be done for a child with special needs. So that's when I said to my partners, look, we've had this fantastic idea. And they were young moms too. And I was like, look, now with my kiddo's diagnosis and wanting some flexibility, what do you think we do? And we went for it. And that is, oh gosh, well, Mabel's Labels is about to turn 21. So we're going back a few years now.
Well, I can't believe Mabel's Labels has been around since 21. And we just met your 3-year-old who is now 17 years just seconds ago, and how impressive a young man he has grown to be. But can we come? But,
Mm,
I'm going to love on Mabel's Labels a little bit because as a parent myself, as a working mom, um, I even before I met you, I know and have loved Mabel's Labels because you might, for those of you who maybe haven't experienced this, you might not know what this is. It looks like a label that you put on your water bottle or your jacket or whatnot. You might think, well, how is that any different than, you might go to your office supply store and you get a label and you stick it on, right? This is really different, my friends. This is like something you can stick in the wash or the dishwasher and it stays vibrant and most importantly, it stays put, which is critical. So Julie, we got to talk about this because as a mom of 6, and now, of course, you've been a successful entrepreneur for quite some time now. How do you find yourself balancing between your professional ambitions and, of course, your many family responsibilities?
Yeah, well, it's a very good point, and I can tell you it's getting a lot easier now as they get older. My youngest child is now 14, and to your point, I do want to give a shout out to my son, who is actually now 24, and he has graduated from college, and he's going to grad school next year, and he's done very well. And so, as Mabel's Labels has grown and achieved, tremendous success, so has my kiddo. And I must say, he is my eldest, and there are the other 5 as well who are also great. So it's been a juggle. So yes, we first started off. I have to say, Winnie, it was tough, right? Like people tend to really romanticize entrepreneurship and they think it's all going to be TED Talks and interviews with you and book deals and that sort of thing. But, we were making labels in a basement until 2 a.m. and then getting up and spending the day with the kids and then putting them to bed and then going back to the basement and making labels. There was no putting kids to bed and pouring a glass of wine and watching Netflix. And so I think, you need to really, people who are thinking about doing the entrepreneurial journey, just to manage expectations expectations that it's a lot of hard work, and it's not as glamorous as sometimes I think it's portrayed to be. Would you agree, Winnie?
Absolutely. This is so true, Julie. And I
Yeah.
mean, talk about making labels in the basement. I'm actually shocked because those labels are pretty awesome. I didn't even know you could make them in a basement. But
Well, you could, well, and this is to your point, people said, oh, well, I'll just go to my office supply store. No, you cannot. Like, this
right.
is not, we did a lot of R&D. It was a lot harder than we thought it would be. Our first
Mhm.
label was a rectangular sticky label, and that went through the dishwasher, the microwave, and it was UV resistant. And then as the years went on, then we've got our washing machine dryer safe. We've got our allergy alerts. We've expanded to shoe labels, bag tags, every kind of labeling product. And the secret sauce is that they're actually as durable as we promise that they are. And they will go through these things. Your kids will wear out or outgrow their clothes, and their Mabel's labels will be there. They will stop using their sippy cups. We will no longer carry lunch boxes, and the label will still be there. And I think part of our success with our market, we did start in the basement, and then we outgrew that basement. So we told my sister, who was one of my business partners, to buy a bigger basement, a house with a bigger basement. She did. But now, of course, we're in a 20,000 square foot facility. We have 50 full-time staff. So there's been a lot of growth over the years. But it was basically starting with something that was not, people thought, oh, that can't be that hard, but it actually was. And that's why the product has been just a favorite brand for parents. But to your point about the balancing the mother load, I can tell you it was very tricky. There were a lot of things back in the day that we had to do. And that was, there wasn't a lot of sleep happening. And flexibility was great. I loved the flexibility this provided. It allowed me to take my child to therapy. It allowed me to go to the park in the afternoon, maybe do the school trip to the apple orchard in the fall, that sort of thing. But I can tell you, I was hovering over my laptop at 11 o'clock at night or making labels at 2 in the morning. So flexibility is wonderful, but it doesn't get your work done for you. So it's important to keep that in mind.
That's such a great point. You're absolutely right. Like we sort of think that, you just become an entrepreneur and the money just sort of flows into your bank account, which is absolutely not the case. And I love that you shared this history with us and that background. And for those of you who, think that this is primarily a product that of course is just for children, that's actually not. It's for everybody. In fact, I will tell you, Julie, I have a water bottle that I think had our first Mabel's Labels purchase that we made. The coating of the bottle, it's one of those stainless steel bottles. The coating's coming off. The Mabel's label still looks brand new. So, and it's been through the dishwasher a few too many times, even though I know the bottle said not to put it in the dishwasher. But, as a mom with kids,
Yeah.
it's just easier. I feel like it's sanitized. But yeah, the label still looks great on that. But we got to talk about this. I mean, balancing life and work. Of course, I'm sure your legal background helped with many facets of your work life, right? And especially with your work ethic and everything else. But given also your passion for women's issues, like what advice would you have for women who are also looking to start maybe their own business or maybe transition from, there's been a lot of layoffs. 2004 has been sort of like the year of the layoffs. A lot of people getting laid off, right? They want to climb that corporate ladder. Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, so I do think that there are a couple of things, and one is along the lines, we saw women starting businesses through COVID at an incredible rate, and particularly moms who are starting businesses like 3 times the rate as men. So really passionate, really interested in that lifestyle, taking those side hustles. So much talent out there, and I think a couple of things. One, as I mentioned about managing expectations, I think you also, if you have a family or a partner, you have to manage their expectations as well and know what it's going to look like. Know that it's going to be like, hey, maybe we don't go on that family holiday this year because I'm giving up a secure paycheck to be able to bring this business to next level. So everyone's got to be on board. I think you've got to make sure that you've got a healthy appetite for risk. Because it's not for the faint of heart. You're going to have to do things that if you're a bit risk adverse, it's going to be difficult. I think women really need to monopolize on our incredible networks. We're such people people. Like our networks are our net worth. So make sure that, whatever business you're thinking of starting, that you are using your networks. You are going to know an accountant who can answer questions. You are going to know somebody in retail. You're going to know somebody who has an e-commerce business. You're going to know these people. Make sure that you are shameless and just ask the questions, ask for the help, and then just just don't take no. Just keep going. Just strive for what you can do. And I do also think that women have to respect our time. And by respecting our own time, we will train others to respect our time as well. Now, let me give an example. I do believe that we have to say no a lot, a lot. And we have to say no to, for example, our families, our children. So here's an example that what I do. And I know you might think I'm a mean mom, but I'm not. I'm a big fan of natural consequences. So if a child forgets to bring their lunch to school, I'm not going to run it to school for them. Otherwise, I would spend all of my life dropping off school lunches or phys ed uniforms or forgotten art projects. And the thing is, it's not a punishment, but what it teaches them is the natural consequence of what happens. So you forgot your lunch. Oh, that's kind of a drag. Maybe see if you can find a brother who has an apple, but nobody yet is starved around here. Nobody's gotten scurvy. So they only forget their lunch once. So I do try to get them to respect my time by modeling that I respect my own time. And again, it's not punishment. It's a natural consequence. And we do need to say no to the things that we don't have time for. And I know for me, I actually have a checklist before I go to an event, like a brand event or some, I get invited to a lot of speaking engagements. And I've got an actual 10-point checklist before I say yes to doing something. And I think most importantly, I think everybody needs to just sit down, busy women, moms, and instead of having that great big to-do list, what's on your do not do list? What are you doing now that maybe somebody else could be doing for you? Maybe it's time to get that cleaning lady. Maybe it's time to get a virtual assistant. Maybe it's time to say, you know what, kids? You're in grade 3, you're in grade 4. It's time to pack your own lunch. They can actually do it. It's time to take turns making dinner. You don't have to do all of the things. For me, I'm like, I have to make labels. I have community commitments. I have a bunch of children to raise. I have to do all the things. And the only way I can do it is to say no to the things that aren't a priority.
So powerful, Julie. Love it, love it, love it. And I'm on that note, I love some of the things that you said. You got to learn how to ask the right questions and to get comfortable asking for help and going out there. And of course, the power of no. And that goes beyond just outside at work, but also in the home as well. A big warm welcome. Also, I see Love is Present is on YouTube. Brain Blender is with us on Twitter, now X. Linda Kessler, it's great to see you as well, also on X. And we see CrossX Fighter, of course. Thank you so much, Joshua, for being on YouTube Live. We got a lot of friends joining us. Definitely jump in and say hello, because we are talking, of course, to Julie here, who is a co-founder of Mable's Labels. I'm guessing many of you have heard of this company, and if you haven't, you're definitely going to want to learn more about it today. Well, we're going to talk about this, Julie, because I know that you write for many publications, including the Huff Post and Working Mother magazine. Let me ask you this. This is something I get asked a lot. How do you go about finding the topics that you write about? What message do you hope to convey to the readers? Where do you get your inspiration from, Julie?
Yeah. Look, I think it's really important to kind of find our, as they say, our zone of genius. It's where can I contribute the most? So I know at Mabel's Labels, our tagline is labels for the stuff kids lose, but really we're always thinking about how can we make parents' lives easier and how can we build a community where we are supporting our community members. So whenever, I'm involved in social media, whenever I'm doing an interview, whenever I'm writing something, I am trying to come from a place of being helpful and sharing what I've learned. It's why I do a lot of mentoring as well. So yes, I speak a lot about being in the parenting space, managing a bunch of things at once, being an autism mom, being a mom of a big family. And it's interesting because when I started blogging so many years ago, 18 years ago or something, before people even knew what a blog was. I didn't blog about labels. I blogged about the things that would be helpful, because social media is so important to use it as social, and to use it as a way to reach your audience and reach your community, and not to be used as a sales tool. And I feel like if you don't use it as a sales tool, it becomes one. So we make sure that we're always out there, we're always engaged. We have a huge Instagram following, a big vibrant Facebook community, a blogging community, and that has been such a big and fun part of our business. And I love being in that space, and I love getting out there as the face of Mabel's Labels, as a spokesperson, getting out there and writing and being helpful, and speaking at conferences, and going to parenting expos and that sort of thing, and bringing our message out.
I love it. I love it. Julie, I feel like we just watched the Super Bowl this past weekend, and everything is about Taylor Swift. I feel like, you got to get those Mabel's Labels over to Taylor, and then everything would be fun, right? But on that note, you turn this idea of yours from in the basement with your 6 kids, very, very busy life already, autism mom. I mean, you have really done everything, and you've turned this now into a multi-million-dollar company. So a lot of people might say, like, well, Julie, it's been 20 some years. Like, what's next for you? Are you like done? Is there something else you're going to do? Like, how do you continue to keep that momentum and that excitement to your business? How do you evolve?
Right. So I think the name of the game here is innovation. And, Mabel's Labels created this incredible product. We are a market leader. We are a loved brand for families. And what makes it really fun and sport for us is the innovation piece. And our customers are always giving us great ideas. We run from a CX perspective. Our customer experience is top notch to us. We have a team. Our staff is incredible. They're entrepreneurial, so they're very creative, and they come up with great ideas all the time too. So I feel like that innovation is what keeps the passion alive for everyone at Mabel's Labels. We're not afraid to take chances. We're still inspired and coming up with new things. I mean, stuff is changing all the time, right? Not just products, but technology and ways of reaching customers, and building a customer base. And we're having new customers being born. And to your point, our original customers now are, a lot of their parents are now elderly, and they're getting Mabel's Labels because mom's going into residential care, or, so we have this like lifelong customer, and then we have new customers being born every day. And it's exciting to, our original customers love us on Facebook. And then, the millennial moms love us here. And then the next generation of moms love us. So we always go to where they are to keep creating that community, keep innovating, and keep that connection going.
I love that. Okay, Julie, I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but we need to know, who is Mable?
I think I've been asked 1,000,001 times. Okay. And I don't have a good answer. So Mabel's Labels, Mable is our logo. And we wanted a brand that would personify our fun, our wittiness, our excitement. And it's just this little girl that we encompass, Mable. And people did remember, and always do remember, the brand name of Mabel's Labels because it rhymes. So it was really just a branding exercise, and it's worked out so beautifully.
It's so beautiful. All right, so now we gotta get real though. Like, how do you keep sane? Like, really, how do you do this?
Honestly, okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. Couple of things. One is I actually don't care what people think. Like, you could come into my house right now and say, Julie, it's a mess. I'd be like, yep, it is, Winnie. Do I care that you think it's a mess? I really don't. And it is incredible how freeing it is when you don't sweat the small stuff. Nobody at my funeral is going to be talking about my impeccably clean house and the gorgeous meals I prepared, but they will talk about when they're at my house, they always felt welcome, and it was all, it was always a great vibe, and there was always a lot of noise and mess and love. And that's what I care about. So I always say, when life gives you lemons, you make a gin and tonic. My perspective is what saves me. I don't get my knickers in a knot about a whole lot. So that, I think, is how I do stay sane. And I've got to say, you have to do what works for you. So not everybody can have six kids and start a business. So don't, right? Like stop at one, stop at two. Don't have any. Like we don't have to, there's no right way, there's no perfect way. So you just do what works for you and don't let any outside judgment come in. And remember, having it all is having what you want. Does everybody want to make labels in a basement? No. Did everybody want to have six kids? No. Did I? Yeah. So, in my perspective, I have it all. So, try not to let society project onto you what you think you need and what you want. You are the boss of this life. You are the best judge to know that.
All right, friends, did I not promise you that like sunshine would come into the show and Julie like is here? You all love her, right? I mean, it would be hard. This is amazing, Julie. All right, so you know what? You're a brand new guest to the show, and that means we're gonna throw you and have some fun, right? Because Joshua, your favorite section of the show. Let's go speed round.
Speed round.
All right, Julie. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have two questions for you, and you're not gonna have that much time to think about it, but I think it's gonna be fun. And so the first question I have for you is, of course, this: what's the best business advice that someone else gave you, and how has it impacted your life?
Wow. Okay. Business advice. Look, I've had so much. I've had so much, and it's all been very useful. You take what you want and you leave what you don't. But I think the best business advice I ever got was actually given by my grandmother, and it was life advice. And I think it applies to everything. And she had a way of telling us that we were perfect and we were wonderful, but also she kept us very humble. And she would say this, Julie, you're as good as the rest of them and better than none. And I think that's brought into my business because you know what? I can do what anybody else can do. I'm not better than anyone else. So, I don't do imposter syndrome. I don't ever feel that way because you know what? I was in that basement. I created this. So I don't ever have those feelings. And I don't think a lot of women in business have imposter syndrome. And remember that you are as good as the rest of them and better than none.
I love that. Brilliant. Your grandma is brilliant, and you're brilliant.
Brilliant.
And now we all want to hang out with Julie in her basement, right? I mean, I want to see this printing operation. Look at, like, yeah, Linda's like absolutely sunshine. Absolutely, Julie, you're absolute sunshine. All right. Second question, Julie. I think you're gonna like this one actually.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's just say poof, and suddenly you're transported back to your 10-year-old self. And you'll get this with six kids. You probably wasn't that long ago, you were your 10-year-old self. But you retained all your current knowledge and your skills. What would you have done differently? And how do you think it might have changed your life today?
Wow. You know what? I have to say, and this might sound a little bit cliche and boring, but I wouldn't have changed anything. Every part of this journey has been a blast. I went to college and then I went to grad school and then I went to law school and then I lived overseas and you know, I loved having these six kids. Like all of it has led to me to where I am. I mean, people always say, "What would you tell your younger self?" And I would tell my younger self, "Just keep going. You're fine. You're doing great. Like you're good. Just make good choices, stay on the path and, listen to your mother once in a while."
I love it. I love it. All right. So, serious question though, Julie. Which of the six kids is inheriting Mabel's labels?
None of them.
No,
None of
no.
them. Actually, believe it or not, Winnie, we had an acquisition. And this is a whole other topic to talk about how when your company goes through that. And that was 5 years ago. And I'm still with the company full time and I'm loving every minute of it. And it's still Mabel's Labels. It's still in our regular facility. And there are so many learnings around that as well. And that was a really, really exciting time. So yes, none of them. They can all just go and stand on their own 2 feet and do their own thing. And I can't wait to follow and watch all the adventures that are ahead of my six children.
Amazing. Well, congratulations. Yes, that's a whole nother conversation. I know all of you are like, continue to show, but no, we'll do it another day. Don't worry. Well, usually at this part, I just want to say a huge thank you to Julie Cole for being on our show, co-founder of Mable's Labels. If you haven't already, definitely check out the website, give Julie a follow. Julie, where can people go to follow you? And of course, learn about all your new developments, all the things that you're working a million miles an hour on.
For sure. So, of course, they can go to our Mabel's Labels site, mabelslabels.com, to check out our products, and then to learn a little bit more about me and see about my book and where I'm speaking and all the things I'm up to and catch me on socials. You can go to mabelslabels.com/Julie Cole.
Amazing. I love it. All right. So definitely do that and check it out. And of course, while you're at it, make sure that you also hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on all the news content on this show as well. And with that, I typically go and tell you how the market is doing right now, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell you that it's not looking so great. So if you don't want to see some pain, I would just wait a few more days and think, that's just part of being an investor. That's what happens. It goes up, it goes down, and unfortunately, today is a go down day. Now, with that in mind, why don't you take some time and watch the full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun, which you can catch on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, Samsung, LG, Roku, and many other streaming platforms, of course. And if you don't mind, when you share this on social, make sure to tag at Winnie Sun to show your support. And that way I can properly thank you on a future episode like I want to do. Thank you so much, CrossX Fighter on YouTube, for doing so. Really, really appreciate all the help and support that you've given us. And of course, don't forget to listen to Yes Factor with Winnie Sun, which is on the Apple Podcast and the LinkedIn Podcast Network, or anywhere else that you check out podcasts as well. Thank you so much, Julie. It has been such a treat. Did you have fun?
I had a blast.
Will you come back on the show? Because we'd love to have you again, I'm sure.
I sure will, Winnie. That was so much fun.
I love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Julie. And thank you, everyone, for your support being on the show. Stay very close. We're going to have more episodes again this week. And of course, we're also doing some new programming that's going to come out, I think, on all the different platforms. So with that, if you have any comments, suggestions, and things like you'd like to see on the show or guests that we should invite to be on guest on the show, definitely send me a direct message or comment below. That's what it is. All about interaction. It's all about community. And we so appreciate you being part of the Level Up Live community. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye now.